Now, let's get you some more perspective now on these developments. I'm joined live from Beijing by John Gong, Professor of Economics at the University of International Business and Economics in Beijing. John, very good to see you again. We were last together in Beijing about a year ago, and we used to be neighbors when you lived in New Jersey. Now, a lot of people in Beijing are telling us that they're pretty excited that Huawei is hiring expensive US-based lawyers and going after the US government. Do you think that, or do you think that's what you do when you're a Texas-based company and you have very deep pockets?
Well, certainly Huawei can afford that. And I think Huawei is doing this not so much thinking that they will win this case, but I think it's very much a PR campaign. I think so far Huawei has been quite cooperative. They take a very low profile, trying to work out a solution with the US government. But I think up to now, they've been finding out that this is very much a futile uphill battle. And now it's clearly a strategy shift. They're taking to the American people. They're taking a confrontational approach with the United States government. So I think this is something they have to do, and they're forced to do. I mean, they're running out of choices, and this is probably the only way they can address their issue here.
Now, many people say Huawei is a very exciting company that was first to the game when it came to 5G technology, and that really, in many ways, it should be praised for that, not knocked. Why do you think the US government simply doesn't see it that way?
I think the United States government has been going after Huawei for a couple of years. I remember the earliest congressional hearing was in 2012. So there are branches within the U.S. government, especially within the intelligence community. These people are going after Huawei for many years now. I think there are several reasons why they are doing this. First of all, I think in earlier days there probably is a reason that they going after Huawei because they want to help American companies. But now, I'm a little bit skeptical of this theory because currently there's actually no U.S. competitor, no U.S. company competing in the wireless space. It used to be the Lucent Wireless, based in Whippany, New Jersey.
Yes.
That's the neighborhood that I'm very familiar with. But that part of the operation has been gone now. It was acquired by Alcatel, several years ago, and later on Alcatel itself was sold to Nokia. So it's a very small operation right now within Nokia that is still competing with Huawei. So I think that rationale is gone.
Okay.
And there are a couple of other reasons, as these two cases, one in Manhattan and another case in Seattle. These two cases also are the reasons that the U.S. government is going after Huawei.
Now, John, do you think the case to prove that Huawei was targeted by U.S. lawmakers, which is, I think, what they have to do, they have to prove that they were actually targeted by the Congress. Do you think proving that will be an uphill battle, realistically?
It's a very much an uphill battle. I think the significance of this case is in the process itself, not so much of the end target. I think there's a very small probability that Huawei will eventually prevail in the U.S. court. But I think the idea is that through this lawsuit, Huawei is voicing a different opinion here. Let the world, public opinion know that there's another version of the story here. And probably Huawei is also doing this, trying to sway public opinion in other parts of the world, not just in the United States. I think for most part, I think Huawei is very much given up the idea that the U.S. carrier market, I'm talking about the infrastructure market, these are the business of selling base stations to carriers, is pretty much gone. Right. I think the Huawei hopes that they can still keep their handset business in the U.S. So, that's where they're coming from, I think.
Now, Huawei is going to claim that the U.S. will lose out on its technology, certainly the federal agencies, if it's not allowed to sell in the United States. That is more of a political argument, but do you think it's a sound one?
Absolutely. Huawei's previous core business, I mean, the carrier core business is with respect to these rural telecoms. Huawei has actually a quite significant business with wireline rural telecom companies. These companies also offering mobile services as well these days. And these companies stand to lose most, in my opinion, because they are forced to pay a much higher price. You know, the legislation in that U.S. Congress bill is to force these companies who have been previously accepting financial help from the federal government. That's the money out of the Universal Service Fund. Right. And because of their getting federal money, and the federal government has the right to dictate what kind of equipment they can buy. So that's where they're coming from. But I think these companies really stand to lose a lot from that, because they will have to pay a much higher price without the presence of Huawei in that U.S. market.
John, can you give me a yes or no answer? Do you think this all goes away for Huawei if there's a trade deal that is signed?
I hope so. It's very hard to say, I think, at this point. Clearly, I think President Trump views this as a political issue here.
Right.
Certainly, I don't think the people within the intelligence community, within the prosecutor's office, view it that way. But it's kind of a delicate play here. I hope this is part of the negotiation between China and the U.S. And it looks like President Trump is willing to entertain a political solution here.
Professor John Gong in Beijing, thank you.